Welcome to War Talk with F period history. I'm your host, ALESSANDRA GRECO, and today we'll take on our very interesting, gripping topic of should America go to war? Please continue your segment. As we all know, the United States is on the edge of war, and we are forced to see the unfolding of these events every day, on the news, on the radio, and in the papers, and on networks, like this one you're seeing today. But have you ever really sat down and thought about it? Would you, yes, you want to go to war? Well, here today with us are some lovely advocates for different views on war and their thoughts on it. I will open the discussion to the audience at the end of this, so please be thinking of questions throughout the program. Now, each person you see here on the show today is eligible to be drafted. They will all give their controversial opinions on whether or not the United States should go to war. And here they come. First, we have Mary Sedler, the person speaking for the pacifist group. Mary, please ask. Now, let me ask you a question. Is it ever right for a nation to go to war?
No, a nation should never go to war. Violence only leads to more violence, and only peaceful compromise can lead to peace.
I see. Well, let's see if our next guest sees eye to eye. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome MICHAELA DUNN representing Just War. Okay, we heard some valid points from the pacifist group, but what do you think? Should a nation ever go to war?
I think war can be the right thing to do as long as it follows certain guidelines and rules and the just cause is being fought for. Also, peaceful resolutions must have already been tried, and war should be the last result, as long as there is some chance of success.
Good point. We've heard these explanations, so let's hear another one. Please welcome ISTIAQUE SHANJIB, a political realist. Okay, now I think you know the question I'm going to ask you. Do you think it's ever okay for a nation to go to war?
I think that a nation should go to war if they're going to gain something, because nations should strive to be the most powerful that they can, and they need to go to war to obtain that.
Okay, so let's welcome our final guest here. They're last, not least. This is FAUCHER, representing Holy War. Okay, Connor, you think it's ever okay for a nation to go to war?
Well, sometimes God calls on us to do His will for Him. So if there's a greater evil that needs to be stopped, someone's called to God to fix that, then yes.
Okay, we've heard some very different points of view made here, and this is going to be a great discussion at the end. So remember, think of questions. Now I think I'm going to open the discussion to our four guests here to see if they disagree or agree or have any comments to make on each other's opinions. Do you guys have anything to say? All right, what do you have to say?
ISTIAQUE. So you think that if you gain something, it's right to sacrifice our people just so we can have cheaper oil?
Well, it's good for the greater good of the entire country. So the soldiers are helping the country and feel a sense of national pride, and they're glad to help the country.
Mary, well, if you never go to war and there's greater evils out there, then those evils will just continue to flourish, and you're not doing anything to stop them if you don't go into war.
Connor, would God promote unmoral and sinful actions during the war?
No, but this world's corrupt, so sometimes you have to do unmoral things for the greater good of the world to do God's will.
Well, you're saying that wars should be for God, right? So what about the Crusades? Is that just for Jerusalem because Jerusalem was a holy place, or because the Catholic Church wanted more land?
Well, I'm not saying all holy wars were really holy. I'm just saying that that's the reason that we should go to war.
Connor, you're saying that God would want to see His own people killed? He would send His own people out to be killed?
Well, no, He wouldn't want to see His own people killed. But this world is corrupt. It's not perfect. So sometimes his own people do have to be killed for the greater good.
Mary, you're saying, questioning Connor about having God wanting his people to be attacked. However, if your people in your nation were being attacked and needed your help, and all you could do was fight a war, you still wouldn't do anything?
What do you mean? Like, we could peacefully talk out the issue.
What if that was not? What if it was already tried and it was no longer an option?
We keep trying.
Even if you got attacked by nuclear weapons?
We could enforce our borders, but we wouldn't start the fighting and we wouldn't continue to fight. We just stop them.
So with your idea, if an evil nation got too powerful and you're just like, stop being evil, then they would just get so powerful they could just overtake you, and then the world could turn evil. So what do you say to that?
What's the chance of that happening?
Extremely likely.
Yeah,
Hitler.
it kind of is.
Hitler killed 6 million people.
Think
And
about
he's just
World
one
War
guy,
II.
so.
Okay,
If we
so I think we bring out Hitler. It's time to take a short break. It's going to get crazy fast. So we'll be right back after this quick public service announcement.
Ooh, look. Cookies.
Oh, that looks so delicious.
It's mine.
No, I want the cookie.
No.
Give it to me.
No. You want to go?
Yeah, bring it. Give me the cookie.
No.
Give it to me now.
No.
Hey, whoa, 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 stop the fight, alright? We'll just break it in half, you know? Oh, well, it's not really half, but you know, there you go.
Yeah, there are other ways to not fight and resolve your problems.
It's, you know, you just gotta split the cookie, share what you got, and, you know, sharing is caring.
Yep. As Maynard Simons once said, our weapons are not weapons, in which cities may be destroyed.
And don't worry, God will protect you, you know? And if you're a pacifist, you know that fighting is wrong.
Welcome back. Now is the time in our show that I'm going to ask each guest their own question, and they're going to be able to answer it. So, I'll start with pacifism. You say we should never fight, and that war is just never the right thing to do. But in retrospect, conflict is a part of everyday life. How do you, justify pacifism?
Conflict will always be in our lives. Conflict's always going to be in the world. But there's better ways to figure it out than hurting each other. As Martin Luther King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So if we agree to try to work it out peacefully, we can figure out the problem. But if we fight, we're just going to continue to fight. The fighting's never going to end.
Okay, so that's a good point, but what happens when the other side of the conflict doesn't want to be peaceful? How do we resolve that issue?
We continue to try to compromise and, work out a way that we can both be happy. Compromise is the key to peace.
Good point. All right, next I'm going to ask our holy war friend a question. So, Connor, let me ask you, do you really think God wants you to fight wars in his name?
Well, yes, because, like I said before, this world is so corrupt that there's violence in the world, and it can't always be stopped by just peace and love, as the pacifist said. Sometimes you need violence. For example, John Brown, from the 1830s to the 1855, he was a pacifist during this, trying to fight slavery with peace and speeches, and then eventually he realized that that just didn't work at all. So that's when he converted to being pro-holy war and fought for slavery to be abolished.
I see. Good point, also. All right, now let's ask our just war advocate a question. Michaela, you say that sometimes wars are just, hence just war. But how do you know when and if it is justifiable to cause a war?
A war is just or unjust based on the guidelines that it follows. According to Thomas Aquinas, he once said that there are 3 things a war needs to have to be just. And they are that the sovereign authority over the people must declare the war. This way, it creates a reason for the war and someone controlling the actions. There also must be a just cause, which can mean that the people deserving it, people being attacked are deserving the actions, and there is a greater evil that is being fought in which the good of all is more important. And there also must be the right intentions by the soldiers or the belligerents, so as to make sure that moral actions are being acted upon. And also, there is a necessity of morality, and St. Augustine once embraced this because moral limits must guide our actions, which also make the war just.
See. Okay, now let's ask our political realist, ISTIAQUE. Aren't you a person who only cares about power and are willing to use it to achieve your own interests, even if you have to injure or kill innocent people to get your way?
Well, you're wrong in one part. I don't only care about my own interests, I care about the country's interests. So if this country needs more oil, we should go get more oil.
So you're willing to sacrifice innocent people's lives for the greater good?
Well, our soldiers are told only to kill the enemy soldiers and to spare all innocents.
What if they can't?
Then
Is it still?
that
okay.
is just tragic event that has occurred.
Okay. We've heard everybody's points. And again, I'm going to ask you to talk to each other about them. But remember, audience members, keep thinking of questions because I'm going to open up the discussion at the end. All right, four guests, you have anything to say to one another? Yes. Okay, each chair.
Do you think that allowing actions against moral beliefs may promote disorder that can endanger your country and your people?
Wait, what?
If you're saying war is necessary for the greater good and it may promote some actions against your moral beliefs, although it would be tragic and that could happen, would that not promote danger against your country and your people?
Why would it promote danger against our
Because if you're going against your morals and you're acting upon that, it promotes disorder and...
No, there's specific situations where morals are different, such as in times of war. Like, if you're being attacked by an enemy soldier who has backup, you're not just going to shoot at the enemy soldier who's shooting at you, you're also going to shoot at his backup who didn't do anything to you.
MICHAELA, so you're saying that we should decide if the war is okay based on our government leaders, correct?
Only if that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just. However, it promotes a reason to fight because those watching over your country feel it's in the best interest of the country.
Well, would you have more faith in a government leader deciding if a war is okay, or wouldn't it'd be better to put your faith in what God would want, and whether or not God would want to go to war, and not just whether or not the president or the government would want to go to war?
Well, if the sovereign authority over the people is a united front, I would believe more in that because can't everyone have different people, different religions have different gods or different interpretations of their God? So some people may believe in war and some people may believe their God doesn't believe in war.
I have a question for you. How do you know your God wants you to go to war?
Well, that's the thing. You have to...
You don't know.
Okay, well, before we start beating up on Connor here, let's take another quick public service announcement.